What is that saying that life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans? I never, ever planned on doing this kind of work.
Kevin Conroy is the definitive voice of Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Kevin was Bruce Wayne, Kevin was Batman, and there was no other way to see it.
When I read a Batman comic, he's the voice I hear in my head.
It's hard to hear any other voice than that voice with Batman.
I know you helped him, Nigma.
It both was strong and emotional, but also there's some vulnerability to it when there needed to be.
I think it was just hearing his voice when we had the headphones on, you know, and just, I'm Batman. And you're like, whoa, this guy is Batman. This is like the best voice I've ever heard. It was just so natural.
It's iconic. Like, you don't have that with a lot of characters out there.
As far as celebrities go, there's no bigger Batman celebrity than Kevin Conroy.
He fell in love with being Batman, and he fell in love with the fans, and that comes across authentically.
When we did the initial auditions for Batman Animated Series, the part of Batman himself was the hardest part to cast. We found most of the rest of the cast fairly easily. The Joker was tough, but Batman was even tougher. We literally, I have no idea how many actors we listened to.
We were nearing the end of the audition process. We had heard hundreds of people over several months' time.
We had a very distinctive idea in our head of what Batman should sound like, and we'd try to articulate it to people, and they just weren't getting it.
Feel free to ask questions as we go along. I'll describe the action that I think is important for you to know, and we'll just go scene by scene.
So I reached out to one of my dear friends, Anthony Barneo, who was an on-camera casting director and had been an agent. And I said, we've got some voices that we like, but do you know anybody that I should see that maybe isn't a voiceover guy yet? And he mentioned this guy named Kevin Conroy.
I do recall sitting in the booth. I do recall Kevin walking in the room and stepping up. And he was just this, almost a classic Hollywood leading man. He was a tall, good-looking guy.
He was like one of the most beautiful people. And literally he walks in the door, and before he even opens his mouth, Andrea turns around and says, "We're hiring him, right?" And I'm like, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, to be honest, I went into it like a dumb actor. I really went in on a cold reading. I'd never done any animated before. I went in with a strong theater background. I trained at Juilliard. I did a lot of theater in New York. I was in LA doing a television series at the time. I didn't have a lot of experience with that. I had no experience with animation. And I just went in basically on a voiceover audition.
Kevin's natural read and just direct read of what he thought this character should sound like, it just resonated immediately.
I said, well, let me just come up with some voices. Let me just try some stuff. So I came up with this, very dark, and I went into this whole other place that no one else had gone to, I guess. And I saw them all running around in the booth, and I realized that I had touched a nerve. Something had gone right.
Maven, you're not safe here anymore. Is there somewhere you can hide? Go quickly.
He really, really embraced aspects of Batman's character in a way that no other actor that we listened to had. And I think that came from the fact that he was not entirely familiar with Batman as a superhero or a pop culture character. He really got into the character from a very Shakespearean angle of somebody who had made sacrifices, who had lost an awful lot.
He had this wonderful take on what the Batman voice was. I come to find out later when I asked him about it, was he thought this is a Hamlet story. This is a man whose parents have been killed, who's seeking vengeance. And as he brought this kind of elegant take to Batman and Bruce Wayne, it set him a cut above.
It's not an overstatement to say the minute that he stepped into the read, we literally just looked at each other and it was like, that's the voice.
But let's get one thing straight. It takes more than a costume and an attitude to do this work.
He was perfect. Yeah, thank God. Probably at least 50% of the success of our version of Batman is due to him, nailing the voice.
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
The art of voice acting is enormously complex and subtle. You're denied most of the tools actors have available to you. You don't have visual facial expression. You don't have control over body language. You've got to imply all of that through your voice.
It's true. I love her.
Kevin Conroy's Batman did that wonderfully for so many years.